We'll begin this morning's meeting of the Franklin County Board of Commissioners with the Pledge of Allegiance led by Commissioner Brown.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Okay, I believe we have some speakers this morning, but we have speakers apparently that are on a non-agenda item, on a non-agenda item issue, and as our rules normally would state that we would have, we don't take speakers on non-agenda item issues, but out of respect for Treasurer-elect Sullivan, we will suspend those rules for today and allow those speakers. But being that it is on a non-agenda item, and due to the fact that Commissioner Boyce will be running late today, we will take those speakers at the end of the agenda as opposed to at the beginning of the agenda. Plus, we have some guests this morning at the beginning of the agenda. And so what we'll do is we'll go through our agenda, try to go through it as efficiently as possible so that we can accept those speakers at the end of the agenda. But first, let's get an approval of the minutes of the July 18th, 2017 general session and the minutes of the July 6th, July 13th, and July 27th, 2017 briefing sessions.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded voting. Commissioner Brown?
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady?
Yes.
The minutes have been approved.
All right, and July is also July. Sorry.
Where are you?
And now I'm assuming August is Child Support Awareness Month because we are still in August, although it is at the end of the month. So August is Child Support Awareness Month. We have with us this morning Judge Jamison. Where is Judge Jamison?
In the back.
She's back there hiding. Judge Terry B. Jamison from the Franklin County Court of Common Pleas Domestic and Juvenile Branch is with us to talk about the Compass program, along with Nathaniel Jordan from the Kappa Foundation and the Executive Director of the Fatherhood Matters program are with us today. If you guys want to come on up. Susan Brown's here to talk as well. Well, good, but you're not on my list. But our Director of Child Support Enforcement Agency, Susan Brown, is also with us today.
Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning, Commissioners. Again, my name is Susan Brown, Director of Franklin County Child Support Enforcement Agency. And it is Child Support Awareness Month in August, both statewide and nationally. And today we would like to recognize two of our champions of our programs. First is Judge Terry Jamison. Judge Jamison of the Court of Common Pleas Division of Domestic Relations and Juvenile Branch was the catalyst for and is the champion of the Compass program, a partnership between the court, the Child Support Program, Job and Family Services, and a host of community partners. The program is an alternative to the traditional contempt process that provides non-custodial parents with an opportunity to connect with community resources that assist them in overcoming obstacles that prevent them from paying their child support, but also thriving and working. Research shows that most unpaid child support arrears are owed by non-custodial parents with reported incomes below $10,000, and those parents have the largest amount of accumulated debt. Many of the non-custodial parents in the program had their order established by default because they didn't appear at their initial hearings for one reason or another. There's no evidence that incarceration results in more reliable child support payments that families can count on to make ends meet. Rather, incarceration can result in accumulation of additional debt and the potential to reduce future earnings, erode the child's relationship with his or her parent, and negatively impact family and community stability. This program provides parents with an opportunity to get their immediate child support issue behind them, an opportunity to connect with programs that can help stabilize their lives, connect with other fathers, teach them that they're an important part and necessary part of their child's life, an opportunity to transform their financial status, their employment and career paths, and their co-parenting skills, and ultimately the opportunity to change their lives so that they can support their children both financially and emotionally. So the child support program is incredibly grateful to Judge Jameson for her commitment and work toward this program. We'd also like to welcome Jesse McGann, right here, who's the newest member of our Compass program, who is a success and life coach for the program. Would you like to say anything?
Thank you. Well, thank you, Susan, for this recognition, and thank you for commissioners for allowing us this time. I would like to also let you know that this is impacting the bottom line of Franklin County at the tune of over $400,000 per year in savings in jail days. So we're grateful for that impact. Not only is
But it's impacting lives.
and it's impacting lives. And first of all, it's in the best interest of children when their parents are able to financially support them. And it has shown us that it takes sometimes longer to overcome some of the barriers that people have than the traditional path was giving them. We've had it take up to 18 months to find employment for someone, but we have been successful in 40% compliance with the participants in the program. So thank you also for funding our success coach, Ms. McGann, this year, and we are looking forward to impacting the bottom line even more.
That's great.
Thanks, Judge.
Now I'd like to recognize Mr. Nathaniel D. Jordan II. The Kappa Alpha Psi Fatherhood Matters program is a 13-week education and mentoring program. It's a group-based program that utilizes the Nurturing Father program curriculum, which assists men to develop and improve their parenting skills. Beyond parenting classes, Columbus Kappa offers a full range of supportive services, including work readiness, job placement, housing, drug treatment, budgeting, and pro bono legal services from local attorneys regarding visitation and parenting time issues. Columbus Kappa and the Child Support Program have entered into an MOU and will work together to help fathers become confident, nurturing fathers who support their children. Programs such as the one offered by Columbus Kappa enhance both the payment of support as well as increasing the involvement of fathers in the lives of their children and decreases the number of required interventions by the CSEA. Most importantly, by working with organizations like Kappa, government agencies such as Child Support can speak through the voices of trusted community leaders such as the Executive Director of the Fatherhood Matters program, Nathaniel Jordan. Today we're also recognizing, or we have recognized, the Compass program. Many of the non-custodial parents with child support issues find themselves in court because they didn't engage or participate early on in their cases. They didn't show up for their hearings, whether it's distrust of the system, transportation barriers, or just apathy. This is the top of the slippery slope that compounds their issues, and parents find themselves involved in the judicial system. We need to work with leaders such as Nathaniel within the community in order to educate parents that they need to be engaged in their cases early on in the process. That way, they're in control, and if parents are struggling, we can connect them to Columbus Kappa or one of the many other partnerships that Child Support has that provides families with resources and stability. Our program would be lacking and incomplete without partnerships such as with Fatherhood Matters. Thank you, Mr. Jordan, for your work with us and within the community to improve the lives of children and families. Mr. Jordan?
You know, being an old football guy, it's important to have a good team and good team players around you. And I want to say thank you to this great team, Board of Commissioners, Chairman Commissioner Brown, Administrator Wilson, Director Brown, Judge Jameson, a winning team, see? But what happens is this administration, this commissioners organization have stepped forward, and I'm just in the tailwind of what they've already done. They've taken leadership on this infant mortality within Franklin County. They've taken leadership on trying to save our black babies with the Franklin County Child Support Task Force, Infant Mortality Task Force. But you know, they want to take a step further. They recognize a father program. Fatherhood Matters. Dr. Alto the University of San Francisco says that the father's involvement early in a child's life will bring not only a healthy baby for full term, but also a kid that starts kindergarten on track and going towards a good citizen. The father is critical, and the leadership that they've shown here that believe in our Father program enough to support us and give us all the strength and leadership that it takes, it's going to enable us to make that difference, because the father in the equation is critical. It's a critical variable. It's not a constant. And that piece in that equation, I'm a math guy too, matter of fact. And what happens is you're going to see, once we put some resources into the fathers, into the process, into this continuum of services, not having one service drop you off the ledge and you're gone. No, we're talking about working with a team. And what we're going to do, I'm going to tell you, is we're going to reduce that number that we had in November. It went up in November, infant mortality rate in Franklin County. This day, mark this day, we're going to get the resources. We're going to put the father involved from inception. ABC to say sleep starts when the baby's here. We're talking about inception. We're talking about bringing that baby through, nurturing that relationship right then and there. So I'm going to get off of here, but I want to be remiss if I didn't let my comrade, the vice president of the Columbus Alumni Chapter of Kappa Alpha Psi Fraternity Incorporated, also the Director of Business Development for the Fatherhood Matters Program, Rodney Washington.
You're always trying to show me up. I'm not an old football guy. I do work with numbers all the time, but different posture in terms of the Fatherhood Matters Program. We also want to thank you guys again for that presentation. Thanks from the judge. It is critical. Many of us grew up without dads. I was very fortunate. I grew up with my dad, and I still had some issues. So it not only took my dad, it took a whole bunch of other dads around me to mold me to the person I am today. So with the Fatherhood Matters program, that's where we are. So it's not only just the men of Kappa Alpha Psi. We're asking other men to come in, get the training, get certified. It's a 13-week program. We figure we can have some serious impact on the lives of these men over a 13-week period. But as Nate, so eloquently said, it does require some funding. So we're going to repeat that, so I want to make sure it's burned in your brain. So that is critical, but it is important as well. And also, the first time I heard about some of these issues, I'm not going to call the state where at first I said, it can't be in Ohio, that has to be somewhere else. And I surely said, well, it definitely is not in Franklin County. Clearly it's not in Columbus. We have some of the worst statistics in Ohio, Franklin County, Columbus, Ohio. So we need to change that. So with that, I'll get off and walk away, and appreciate the time, the support. And when you hear about the Fatherhood Matters programs, please reach out to us. The Columbus Kappa Foundation is our nonprofit entity, as well as the fraternity, and our brothers are supporting this. They have gone through the training, but we need to train a lot more men. Because the class requires, we're trying to keep the class size to 12 to 14 men, and we have to have 2 instructors. So you can do the math. If we're talking about training 500, 600, 800 men, fathers, we need a lot of people to be sitting in those training seats. Thank you.
How would somebody get in touch with you if they wanted to go through the training?
They can call area code 614.
Or they can go Kappa Cares, that's Kappa with a K and Care with a K, KappaCares.com.
That's
www.KappaCares.com, and that's care with a K.
Because
Kappa. Karere. So.
perfect.
That's how people can get in touch with us.
Thank you.
That's perfect. Thank you so much.
Thanks, guys. We have, what, don't sit, we have some
Sit down, now Judge
resolutions. When we get-
Jameson,
there's
come
some
on
pictures.
back
Come on, Judge,
up.
come on back up. Get some pictures with you.
And Jesse,
Yeah, you get in here too.
come on in.
Here. Good to see you. I like when you guys. Thanks. Oops. All right. Common Police Court.
Resolution number 591-17, resolution authorizing a contract with the Ohio Department of Rehabilitation and Justice Reinvestment Probation Improvement and Incentive Grant Program in the amount of $287,500.
And I'd say top that, but you will.
Good morning, Commissioners. Kimberly Canada, Director of Finance for the Common Police Court, and with me is Susan Bedsell, Deputy Court Director. This resolution is for the first quarter of state fiscal year 18-19 with the Ohio Department of Rehabilitation and Corrections. Due to a delay in the state-approved budget, they've made funding available for recipients for the first quarter expenditures. This grant release will be in its entirety later into the month of September, when we'll be back for the full grant amount agreement. Pending any questions, we request your approval.
I'll move for approval of 591-17.
Second.
Moved and seconded voting. Commissioner Brown?
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady?
Yes.
Resolution number 591-17 has been adopted.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys. The Domestic Relations Branch.
Resolution number 592-17, resolution authorizing a first amendment to the 2018 grant agreement with the Ohio Department of Youth Services in the amount of $70,000.
Good morning, Commissioners. Barb Reeves, Deputy Director. With me this morning is Diane Mueller, our Chief Probation Officer. This resolution is requesting an amendment to our 2018 grant from the Department of Youth Services in the amount of $70,000 to add a residential program that will provide sex offender treatment for a youth. Pending any questions, we request the approval of this resolution.
Move approval of 592-17.
Second.
Moved and seconded voting. Commissioner Brown?
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady?
Yes.
Resolution number 592-17 has been adopted.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
guys.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Sheriff's Department.
Resolution number 593-17, resolution authorizing contracts for canned, dry, frozen, and dairy food products for the Franklin County Correctional Facilities in the amount of $1,300,000.
Good morning, Commissioners. Dave Masterson, Director of Administrative Services for Sheriff Baldwin. This resolution will authorize a 6-month contract through March 1st, 2018 to supply the jails with canned, dried, and frozen foods. All the items have a firm and fixed price through the contract expiration and are part of the certified menu for the Corrections Division. It was competitively bid through county purchasing, and the vendors were chosen based on price and delivery capabilities. If any questions, we ask approval of this resolution.
Move approval of 593-17.
Second.
Moved and seconded voting. Commissioner Brown?
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady?
Yes.
Resolution number 593-17 has been adopted. Resolution number 594-17, resolution authorizing non-general fund supplemental appropriations for the Franklin County Concealed Carry Program.
Commissioners, passage of this resolution will appropriate the funds needed to open purchase orders to cover a licensing fee and scanner that will be utilized to electronically store concealed carry weapons application and license information. With no questions, we ask approval of this resolution.
Move approval of 594-17.
Second.
Moved and seconded voting. Commissioner Brown?
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady?
Yes.
Resolution number 594-17 has been adopted.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Dave. Emergency management.
Resolution number 595-17, resolution authorizing the ratification and approval of the renewal agreement for the Everbridge mass notification system in the amount of $221,000.
Good morning, Commissioners. Jeff Young, Director, Franklin County Emergency Management and Homeland Security. We're asking for final ratification of the renewal of our subscription service to Everbridge Communications for our mass notification system. This was previously signed by President O'Grady, allowing that service to continue, and it was a challenging renewal. I appreciate the work of Franklin County Prosecutor's Office, Franklin County Procurement, and Commissioner O'Grady in keeping this service in place. It's not only utilized by our agency, but multiple agencies and communities throughout Franklin County. Without question,
Approval of 595-17.
Second.
Moved and seconded voting. Commissioner Brown?
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady?
Yes.
Resolution number 595-17 has been adopted.
Thank you.
Commissioner Brown will get to sign that now. That's your committee now. Thanks, Director. The Franklin County Data Center.
Resolution number 596-17, resolution authorizing a contract with Presidio Networked Solutions Group, LLC for information technology infrastructure services in the amount of $3,446,800.
Good morning, Commissioners. Julie Lust with the Franklin County Data Center, and I respectfully request that we table this resolution, awaiting some additional information from the state of Ohio.
Do we know how long this will take, or
Should
we table indefinitely?
Indefinitely, please.
Okay. I'll move to table Resolution 596-17 indefinitely.
Second.
Moved and seconded voting. Commissioner Brown?
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady?
Yes.
Resolution number 596-17 has been tabled indefinitely. Resolution number 597-17, resolution authorizing a supplemental contract with Prime AE Group Incorporated for consulting services for the upgrade of the on-base content management system in the amount of $57,400.
And this resolution is for a contract with Prime AE Group. It is for our on-base application to upgrade it, and this will be the first step in us assisting Child Support Enforcement Agency with FTI compliance. So pending any questions, I do request your approval.
Move approval of 597-17.
Second.
Moved and seconded voting. Commissioner Brown?
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady?
Yes.
Resolution number 597-17 has been adopted.
Thank you, Commissioners. I appreciate it.
Thanks. Sanitary engineer.
Resolution number 598-17, a resolution of the Board of County Commissioners of Franklin County authorizing an application to the State of Ohio to participate in the State Capital Improvement Program for the Little Farms Subdivision Waterline Replacement Project.
Good morning, Commissioners. Stephen Renner with the Department of Sanitary Engineering. The resolution before you is seeking your authorization of a application to the Ohio Public Works for the rehab and replacement of our water, a section of our water distribution system in the SD4 system, also called the Little Farms subdivision. This area is the northwest corner of the SD4 system. Over the last 10 years, I'll tell you that it was responsible for more than a third of our water breaks. The system is old. Some parts of it were installed in 1920s, so it's time. The system has been broken up into two phases. What we are applying for is phase one. It's a little bit more than $8.8 million. The application is a we're seeking 75% grant, 25% loan.
I will move for approval of 598-17, Director.
Second.
Moved and seconded voting. Commissioner Brown?
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady?
Yes.
Resolution number 598-17 has been adopted.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Stephen. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We still have 5 agenda items. I still at this point don't have any speaker slips. So I have we have a couple. Okay, I have a couple of speaker slips. If there are those of you in the room who expect or hope to speak at the conclusion of the meeting on the issue of Treasurer-elect Brooks Sullivan, if you could please fill out a speaker slip and see Mr. Lowry at the back of the room, that would be advisable. I'd appreciate that. Child support enforcement.
Resolution number 599-17, resolution authorizing a contract between the Franklin County Child Support Enforcement Agency and the Ohio State University on behalf of the Kirwan Institute for the Study of Race and Ethnicity to provide training to employees of Franklin County Child Support Enforcement Agency and various community partners as part of the CARE PJAC federal grant in the amount of $3,600.
Good morning, Commissioners. Lori Torriero on behalf of the Franklin County Child Support Enforcement Agency. This contract is part of the implementation of a federal research grant that Franklin County CSEA was lucky enough to apply for and receive that will explore the effects of using procedural justice informed service provision to our non-compliant obligors in another alternative to the traditional civil contempt procedure. This training is part of being able to provide those services in a procedurally justice informed way, and it covers training not only for our staff who will be working on the grant, but also the staff of our community partners who will be working with us.
This is great. I'm happy you're doing it, and I'm glad you got the funding to do it. Move for resolution approval of 599-17.
Second.
Moved and seconded voting. Commissioner Brown?
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady?
Yes.
Resolution number 599-17 has been adopted.
Excellent. Homeland Security and Justice Programs.
Resolution number 600-17, resolution authorizing acceptance of an invitation to a convening of the Data-Driven Justice and Behavioral Health Design Institute in the amount of $600.
Good morning, Commissioners. Michael Daniels in the Office of Justice Policy and Programs. We wrote for and received a full scholarship for 9 members of a team, including members from the county and our community partners, to attend a seminar next week in Rockville, Maryland, co-sponsored by the Department of Justice, the Laura and John Arnold Foundation, and the National Association of Counties, where we will very specifically and intensely, based on the agenda that I've seen, work on a solution for data sharing across multiple systems in the county, primarily targeted to serving folks who are the most frequent users of incarceration, shelter, and mental health. Pending any questions, I ask for your approval of this resolution.
Move for approval of 600-17.
Second.
Moved and seconded voting. Commissioner Brown?
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady?
Yes.
Resolution number 600-17 has been adopted. Resolution number 601-17, resolution authorizing a supplemental appropriation and interfund loan from the General Fund to Justice Programs Fund and an agreement with the Franklin County Municipal Court to provide support of work release programming for eligible misdemeanants in the amount of $100,000.
Commissioners, I would respectfully request that we table this resolution for 1 week. We still have some last-minute questions and details to work out in the wording of the contract.
I'll move to table 601-17 for a week.
Second.
Moved and seconded voting. Commissioner Brown?
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady?
Yes.
Resolution number 601-17 has been tabled for 1 week.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Thank you.
Human Resources. Thanks, Michael.
Resolution number 602-17, resolution authorizing an agreement with the Ohio State University for purchase of management advancement for the public service training units for agencies of the Board of Commissioners in the amount of $36,285.
Good morning, Commissioners. Rob Young representing Human Resources. Management advancements for the public service, commonly called MAPS classes. We've been sending our employees there for quite some time. We do one purchase of all the training units. We're doing 177 is the request this year, and the cost is the same as it has been for the past 2. So pending any questions, request approval on the resolution.
Move to approve resolution 602-17.
Second.
Moved in second and voting, Commissioner Brown,
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady.
Yes.
Resolution number 602-17 has been adopted. Resolution number 603-17, resolution authorizing the county administrator to enter into a memorandum of understanding with the Franklin County Coroner's Office for Human Resources Services.
This would be a renewal of the agreement we had last year, which is expiring. We send an employee over there 2 days a week and helps out with their HR work. So pending any questions, we'd like to continue that and ask for your approval.
We're doing this with several agency partners, aren't we now?
Yeah, EMA,
MORPC.
MORPC, and the BOE, Board of Elections.
Great.
Yeah.
It's a good sharing agreement.
We have people going everywhere.
I know. I'll move approval of 603-17.
Second.
Moved in second and voting, Commissioner Brown,
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady.
Yes.
Resolution number 603-17 has been adopted.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Thank you.
Thanks, Rob. Purchasing.
Resolution number 604-17, resolution approving purchases for various Franklin County agencies in the amount of $1,142,035.30.
Good morning, Commissioners. Carl Cusper, representing the Purchasing Department. The resolution before you requests for approval of 91 purchase orders. These purchase orders have been pre-certified as availability funded by the county auditor. Pending any questions, we recommend their approval.
I will move for approval of Resolution 604-17.
Second.
Moved in second and voting, Commissioner Brown,
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady.
Yes.
Resolution number 604-17 has been adopted.
Thank you.
Thanks, Carl. Board of Commissioners.
Resolution number 605-17, resolution approving the solid waste management plan for the Solid Waste Authority of Central Ohio.
Good morning, County Commissioners. I'm
Good morning,
Kyle
Kyle.
O'Keefe, Director of Innovation and Programs at SWACO. Resolution before you is to approve SWACO's revised solid waste management plan. Every 5 years, SWACO must revise its solid waste management plan by statute to outline its activities and services to achieve waste reduction and recycling goals. As of 2015, Franklin County achieved a 45% diversion rate of material from the landfill, which is excellent. Yet more can still be done. Annually, Franklin County residents and businesses landfill over 1 million tons of waste, majority of which can be reduced, reused, recycled, or composted. This new plan outlines new initiatives and existing programs to help achieve those goals, and we ask for your support in that manner. Thank you.
Move approval of 605-17.
Second.
Moved in second and voting, Commissioner Brown,
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady.
Yes.
Resolution number 605-17 has been adopted.
Thanks.
I'm told that we're requested by Hannah Greer to have a photo taken so that she can work some magic with that. So if we can do a little photo with Kyle here, that'd be...
Stand back here with you.
You want to do it here, or what do you want to do? Do it out front? Let's do it out front. Yeah. Where we normally do. Hannah can...
Oh,
That's
yes.
right.
Hannah's got to work a little magic.
We'll put you in the middle.
And one more. Thank you. Thank you.
Good job. Nice work. Give it up. Tell them we said. Yeah. Well, where he is. Commissioner Boyce was sending his son off to school today, so off to college, so must be held up. All right.
Resolution number 606-17, resolution reappointing Abigail Wexner to the Columbus Downtown Development Corporation Board of Directors.
Move
morning.
Oh, go ahead.
Good morning. I'm filling in for Eric Janis, my colleague.
Sitting there, I'm so
I snuck up. Good morning, Commissioners. Chris Long, Deputy Administrator. Pending any questions, we'd recommend approval of this appointment.
Move approval of 606-17.
Second.
Moved in second and voting, Commissioner Brown,
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady.
Yes.
Resolution number 606-17 has been adopted.
Thank you.
We want to...
We should do...
Oh, this is for, the last one is simply to move into executive session, so do we, the journalizations, Antoine?
We have one from Economic Development and Planning for an annexation, case number ANX-12-17, an expedited Type 2 annexation petition, ANX-12-17, was filed with the Franklin County Economic Development and Planning Department on August 24th, 2017. The petition is requesting to annex 1.065 acres from Jackson Township to the city of Grove City. The petition will be considered by the Board of Commissioners on September 26, 2017. Site number 5070 Hagen Road, PID number 160-000208.
Okay. All right, as I said earlier, we have 4 speaker slips, and as I said at the beginning of the session, generally, our rules are posted on our website, and generally, we do not take speakers on topics that are not germane to the session, the agenda of the day. This topic is not germane to the session or the agenda of the day, but out of respect for Treasurer-elect Brooks Sullivan, welcome this morning, Cheryl. It's good to see you. Out of respect for Cheryl and the situation that we are all working through, we are certainly going to hear from today's speakers. Now, that said, also on our agenda, please note that we ask that our speakers confine their remarks to 3 minutes so that we can hear from everybody. And so I will, though they are not time-stamped, I will call them in the order that I received them. So our first speaker this morning is Norman Whiteside. Oh, I apologize. You're right. County Administrator Wilson has some comments that he'd like to make about the bonding procedure before we get into our speakers.
President O'Grady, Commissioner Brown, before making statements related to the bonding matter, I would respectfully request a point of personal privilege for thoughts and prayers to go out to the residents of Harris County, Texas, and the state of Texas, and the city of Houston. With the
as well as the county commissioners in Harris County who have been providing services to all of those residents in need. We've been hearing from them as well. So
yes, through the National Association of Counties, we've been hearing from the officials in Harris County, Texas, and southeastern Texas. There's a lot of stress on the state of Texas right now. Just learned this morning that there's one of their main shelters at the convention center, the Brown Convention Center, is now full. Yes. The city of Dallas now is beginning to help out, and you got upwards of 500,000 people that are being directly impacted in the 4th largest city in the United States. So we have to, keep folks in our thoughts and prayers. As we go through this tragedy, we're reminded that in times like these, Americans can step up and show their best. In the state of Texas, you are seeing examples every time you turn on the TV or you go online. You see people of all likes helping each other. At a time when we got so much political polarization in red states and blue states, it's good to see that the residents of the city of Houston and the state of Texas are coming together and not letting these type of things divide them. So I just wanted to take this point of personal privilege, and if officials in the state of Texas, the city of Harris County, through National Association of Counties, if individuals wish to contribute, they can reach out through the United Way of the city of Houston. They can text UW Flood, FLOOD, and text that to 41444. Again, if you want to text, it's UW Flood, FLOOD, to the number 41444. So that is one way I know these are the sheriff in Harris County. It's encouraging people. I know the Central Ohio Red Cross Association.
The Red Cross nationally is also taking a lot of donations. We were in Chicago over the long weekend, and every theater we went to, they were making announcements, of texting and contributing to the Red Cross. And it is a tragedy that does tend to pull people together no matter what else is going on. So I too thank you for mentioning that, Ken.
Appreciate it.
So, thank you, Commissioners. Before we hear from our speakers today, I would like to take the opportunity to address a couple misunderstandings that have been viewed on social media over the last several days. I just would like to make clear that the Commissioner's Office has been working diligently with Treasurer-elect Sullivan to get her bonded and sworn into office, and we remain committed to doing that. The Ohio Revised Code requires that county treasurers be bonded and charges the Board of Commissioners with the fiduciary responsibility of setting the amount of that bond at an appropriate level to protect the taxpayers. The amount of the Franklin County Treasurer's bond hasn't been updated for many years. Looking at historical records, at least dating a decade plus. County administration and the Office of Management and Budget periodically reviews different financial policies such as this and recommend changes when they're warranted. After the Office of Management and Budget conducted a Metro County review of Treasurer bonding amounts, it was determined that given the county's financial stature and its own top-tier bond rating and the growth of the investment portfolio over a number of years, we needed to bring our treasurer's bonding level more in line with that of other large counties. Since this would not be ideal to be done in the middle of somebody's term, so when the incumbent longtime treasurer resigned last year, we took the opportunity to raise the bond amount. And I would like to note that since then, September of last year, two individuals have been bonded at the higher amount, and the current treasurer serving has been bonded at the higher amount. Our surety has told us that the amount of the bond would not change based on their decision as to whether or not to issue the bond for a particular person. Their decision would be the same if we remained at $200,000 versus it being at $1 million right now. The price of the bond is based on the amount of the bond, not the person, the individual being bonded. We started this process more than a month ago. The first surety we applied to declined to provide the bond. But we are committed to continuing to work with Treasurer-elect Sullivan so that she can take office. And as of right now, we have one more surety company application that was submitted late yesterday, and another one we're waiting on one question to be answered from our prosecutor and attorney's office to get that one submitted. And we will continue to look for additional options. We reached out to surrounding counties, including Cuyahoga. Want to look out to Lucas County, as well as the city of Columbus, and see as there are what other additional surety companies other than the ones we have traditionally worked with to obtain a bond. So county administration is committed to working over the next several days to diligently work to get a bond for the required amount for our treasurer-elect. Zach Tallaric, the Director of Management and Budget, has served as our point person, and I'm in contact with him a number of times during the day to get updates on where we're at. So I would just like to say to the viewing public and all of the residents of the county, we are taking this serious and we are working diligently, and we very much want to see the treasurer-elect placed in office and get the bond that we want to get approved.
Thank you. All right, so we have 4 speakers, and if we can, again, remember that I'd like to limit our remarks to 3 minutes each. Norman Whiteside.
Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning all. One of the things that appears on the sign of the seals of the Great Seal of Ohio is, with God all things are possible. One of the statements made by the President Harry Truman was that it's amazing what can be accomplished when no one cares who gets the credit. We're only concerned that the right of the voters prevail. In the spirit of the Declaration of the Independence, the clause that says, and whatever any form of government becomes destructive of these ends, it is the right of the people to alter or abolish. That same right is the right to vote. We're not only asking that Cheryl Brooks Sullivan be installed, we're asking that the right of a vote is protected. And we appreciate, I have a daughter who is right now in Houston, Texas, flooded on the second floor. So we appreciate what you just said, sir. And we do appreciate the comment about the diligence that has been applied here. Because this, again, as we've stressed so many times, it's not about a race thing. It's about a right thing. And we're just asking that righteousness prevails when it's all said and done, so that the person that was voted for and elected does assume office in a very, very timely and precise manner. The other thing, before I conclude this, is while I can appreciate what you said about the bond and there were 2 other people who have been bonded, the one point is that in Franklin County, we elect the treasurer. In Cuyahoga County, the treasurer is appointed. And with that being the case, okay, it's almost like mixing apples with oranges in some degree. The last thing is that it's not about the propriety of what has taken place, it's about the timeliness. And so what makes it curious is the timeliness. All other things considered, we do appreciate what everybody is doing, the public, the viewers, the social media, the gentlemen who have come out, like Mr. Byron Potts and Mr. Nathaniel D. Jordan and the others. And we appreciate that as soon as humanly possible, you do that thing that's representative of the Great Seal of Ohio. With God, all things are possible. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Next is Jody Ann.
Jesus, perfect. Okay, I don't have anything prepared. I didn't know I was going to be able to speak today. My name is Jody Howe, also known as Jody Ann. I'm a community activist, organizer here in Columbus, Ohio. I am here because Miss Cheryl Brooks, she inspired me with her story. I've been following her story since day one. I too one day may run for office, and I consider myself being a part of the younger generation. And a lot of us struggle with the voting thing. And you know, if the younger people see that we all took the time and registered and we stood in line and we took off of school and we did this and we did that, and our votes doesn't count, our votes doesn't matter, then we may lose some voters because of that. You know, we're already struggling already to get the kids and the young people out to vote, and then for them to see something like this happen, it wouldn't really look really good to bring in young voters. Her story, Ms. Cheryl Brooks' story, you know, with her background and different things like that, I think we all have past. Her past may be a little bit different than ours, but we all have a past, and, you know, and I believe in second chances. And I believe that, you know, some of the greatest people in the world, for example, like Judge Mathis had a past, and he had a record, but somebody believed in him, and someone gave him a chance, and now he's one of the greatest judges out here making a difference in the world. But with that being said, I just want to thank Cheryl Brooks for being such an inspiration to me and so many other young ladies that are maybe looking to get into office. And I just hope that, you know, you all do whatever it is possible to make it happen so that she is the treasurer of Franklin County, because you know, it's very important for people to be elected and actually take their position. So that's pretty much all I have to say, and thank you for giving us the time to speak today. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jody. Next we have Byron Potts.
Good morning.
Counselor.
Good morning, President O'Grady, Commissioner Brown. It was good to hear, and to Mr. Wilson, it was good to hear that you are, as the administrator, you're trying alternative ways to bond the Treasurer-elect, Ms. Cheryl Sullivan. What we want to do, I was on the Kahari Inaharu show this Sunday, and the concern of the community, because it's a talk show, it's a call-in show, and the concern of the community that this has the look of impropriety. And because of the timeliness of when this issue was brought forth. Now, just like Jody said, the young people are already, they don't have a lot of confidence in the electoral system, the voting system, and they want any excuse not to vote and not to think that their vote counts. And we got a lot of calls about them saying they're up to their old tricks again, and not saying that you are. And first of all, I thank you for this opportunity to express what we heard and why we are here today. They said that they believe that this is some issues, that some tricks are going on, because what Ms. Brooks Sullivan did is upset the apple cart. She was not supposed to win, and she won. And what the perception is in our community is that it's game playing, and that they're not really supporting her the way that it should be supported. It was good to hear from Mr. Wilson about the alternative strategies that you're doing and you're trying. But it's my understanding that Ms. Brooks Sullivan has found someone that is temporarily willing to issue a bond and do that kind of thing, and that she has been working on her own diligently, because the community has sent letters of character to these different bonding companies. I myself personally has done this, and on behalf of her and on behalf of someone that has had trouble in his life and has overcome trouble in his life. We all have issues that we have to deal with. I'm a recovering cocaine addict for 26 years. I've been in recovery and recovered from that 26 years. And I have vowed to be a part of this community, a productive part of this community. And I believe that Ms. Brooks Sullivan has vowed to do the same thing. What we don't want to have this perception going out that their vote doesn't count. It's hard enough to get our young people to get involved in the system. The look of impropriety, that's what we see. And that's what I've dealt with and worked with Commissioner O'Grady. I've worked with you. I know that you're committed to the community. I understand that. Commissioner Brown, you and your husband, I've worked with both of you. And I know Mr. Wilson. So I understand what you're doing. But there is a perception. And most people's perception is their reality. You understand that? We have a fiduciary duty to our people in the community to act accordingly. And there is places that will bond her. And it's my understanding it has to be done by September 4th. That's a problem with us. That's a problem. Understand that. So we don't want to point fingers. We want to get the job done. And I agree with Mr. Whiteside. With God, all things are possible.
All right. And Mr. Tyrone Thomas.
My name is Tyrone Thomas, and I'm a community person. And I agree with everything the prior people said, so I'm going to say ditto there so I don't have to backtrack. My concern is this. Friday is a deadline, not Monday, September 4. And I know it's not impossible to correct us. We just need to get it done. I, too, spend time on the radio, on the social media, in the community. I get people walking up to me in the community saying, you need to fix this. Well, it's not something I can fix. Because if it was left up to me to fix, we wouldn't be here today. The timing is wrong. This should never happen. She was elected in November. Okay, we're now into September, and this shouldn't be this way. It doesn't look good for us as a county, doesn't look good for us as a city, doesn't look good for us as voters. People are telling me, my vote don't count. I'm talking about young people, because those are the people I approach the most. That's why I don't vote, because stuff like this happens. So here's a chance for us to win over those young voters that's coming out today, because as old voters, we already educate our vote, and we make sure. And I talk about voters because I'm only one vote, okay? But if you lose my one vote, it only takes one vote to decide who's going to be next. Cheryl had 270,000 people. She, to me, a landslide victory that said she needs to be treasurer. And for us to have this issue at this point is very disappointing. And I speak to you from a passionate disappointment, and I encourage you to take care of this as soon as possible. Make it public that it's taken care of. But don't let this go to Friday noon or Friday 4 o'clock. It's just not reasonable, it's not acceptable. And I'm not trying to lecture you. I know you got a job to do. I'm just trying to tell you the passion that I have and the passion that I hear in what the public's saying to me. I've talked to each one of your office assistants, and I've expressed some concerns and asked them to pass them on to you. But the bottom line is, Friday is a deadline that we can't miss. And I prefer we not miss it tomorrow if we could. So with that being said, I don't have any more to say about it. I just want to see Cheryl be treasurer on Monday, be sworn in, and anything behind that is in the past. What we do in the past, if we correct it, should not carry forward. But we always have to learn from the past. If you learn from the past, then you make corrections in the future. If you ignore the past, it comes back to haunt you and bite you. With the number of people we got re-entry into our community, that overwhelming number, we got programs, we're paying hundreds and thousands and millions of dollars to bring people back into the community. For Cheryl to go into our office on Monday, look at the encouragement you give them to not make another mistake and be a burden on our society. So we got voters and we got reentry. This is a subject that's bigger than just the treasurer being sworn in. It's a community issue that has a heartbeat. And when something has a heartbeat, you don't want to stop that beat. Thank you for listening to me. I really appreciate the President for letting us do this and speak out of turn. You know, I came here to be in silence, and you let me have a voice, and I appreciate that. I can't tell you how much I appreciate that, Commissioner Brown, Commissioner Boyce, and President O'Grady.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. I'm assuming we want to hear from Treasurer-elect Brooke Sullivan, but I wanted to raise a couple of questions, if I might. Mr. Potts and Mr. Whiteside, you guys both mentioned the issue of timeliness, and so I wanted to, and the perception of that, and so I wanted to address that issue if I could. We voted on this issue back in September of last year, previous to the election, which was previous to understanding, it was after the primary, yes, but it was previous to knowing the outcome of the general election race between Cheryl and Mr. Berry, who was the Republican candidate. So we did that based on the need to, and the knowledge and understanding that our bond was too low at that point. And so in terms of as Mr. Wilson indicated earlier, the bonding companies have indicated to us that their decision on this issue had nothing to do with the number or the level of the bond. The $1 million level had nothing to do with their decisions that they made. And so that was something that we did based on the fact that we felt that Franklin County, having the largest portfolio in the state of Ohio, $2.2 billion in collections on a daily basis, with $900 million investment portfolio for over $3 billion, which is by far the largest portfolio in the state of Ohio, and at $1 million, Lucas County and Summit County, which are half our size. Yes, sir. Good. I'm sorry. Yeah, I know you want it.
I was getting ready to call you Your Honor. However, with respect to timeliness, that's not the issue that I'm talking about. I understand the county has a duty to do what I'm talking about. To me, it's unconscionable that you wait a month to secure a bond. And that's the timeliness that we're talking about. I understand when you voted and you did that. Why did we wait a month to secure the bond? That's
Gotcha.
what my issue on timeliness is.
Understood. Got you. Now, that said, this is, from what I can tell, this is relatively precedential. I've been asking the question repeatedly, and I have not gotten an answer from anybody from an example of this happening somewhere throughout the state of Ohio in the past. It's clear that the ORC sets this out. There's certainly no question that the 275,000 votes that Cheryl received in the fall matter, but the Ohio Revised Code also is very clear about the need for elected official bonds, and the idea that you can win an election and then not be seated in office because you can't secure a bond. While it is strange and unusual, I mean, I wouldn't say it's a strange and unusual piece of law, but it's a strange and unusual case that it would happen, because I haven't been able to find a case where it has happened anywhere in the state that I know of, or I haven't seen it. It is certainly something that is written in the Ohio Revised Code, and so we are trying our best. When we were told about this last Tuesday morning at the end of this session, the first thing that the three of us said to our county administration was, get a bond. We need to get a bond for Cheryl.
Well, and it was a routine getting of a bond for an elected person that we thought we typically do. At that time, we didn't assume we were going to have an issue, and we typically don't take 6 months to be looking at bonding because it's not something we've needed to do. Director Wilson?
County Administrator Kenneth Wilson. I'd like to speak to this point around timeliness. Typically, for any of the other constitutional offices, if there's a change in office, that election is held in November, and then that individual takes office a couple months later. So typically the window we worked in this case is the same window we would have for any other office. The office of treasurer is unique because there's a September start date.
Right.
So I think going forward, we didn't have a reason to believe necessarily that we would encounter these type of difficulties, but the window of time that we worked within is typical to what we would have when an election is held in November and officers take the oath in January. So the window of time we work with the bonding companies, our Office of Management and Budget, is about the same. Yes.
If I could just add too, I just want to make sure, if I recall correctly, that's how I was bonded when I came into the commissioner's office. I feel like it was weeks before I took office, if not right when I took office, quite frankly. I do want to say this because I know there is a lot of passion, and well, let me apologize for my tardiness. I was shipping my son off to college today, and so we're at the airport dropping him off. Thank you so much, I appreciate that. And I didn't even cry today.
Not today.
Not today. I'm going there later in the week, and I'll probably cry then.
It's coming.
It was quick. I was like, get out of the car, bye,
You're
go.
going back on Saturday.
I've been looking at this thing all morning because my daughter's texting me from overseas.
So I apologize. We were saying goodbye, and took a minute. But I do appreciate Shortbrook Sullivan. I mean, I really hope that we have a chance to hear from her, because in my experience in this entire transition process, it has been fairly smooth. And I've been keeping up to speed on it through Brooke Sullivan as well as with the administration, with the exception of this situation. Things seem to be going in order. And I will tell you, having been a former treasurer before, being bonded as a commissioner, that process is that they use, it's easy to have an issue. If you have something on your credit report, like a hospital bill, because most of it is automated. You know, they take it, punch it into a computer, and the computer spits back a number, and it puts you in one boat or the other. And it takes you calling a person and engaging a person and say, why was I declined, or what was the issue, for it to be looked at, and a lot of times it's just something minor, and they can make the adjustment. And so that's the first thing I want to say. This is just not as uncommon as you might think. As far as the bond being raised goes as well, you know, everything that I have to look at from a finance standpoint with my colleagues, you have to ask your questions, fundamental question. Is it a prudent financial decision? And when you consider the amount of the portfolio and you compare that to other portfolios of similar size, the financial decision is a prudent financial decision. And that's the first and foremost thing. So let's stay within that. I think we're all, I don't think there's a person at this county that doesn't want to see Shortbrook Sullivan come in and do well. We all are part of her administration, this administration, and we're going to work together to ensure that it's the best that it can be. And so I just wanted to thank everybody that came out, but also to say we're getting caught up on a lot of these technical parts that, quite frankly, are out of our control. But I'm confident, because when it was raised, and I just want to reiterate, when it was raised, the first thing all three of us said, figure it out, get it done.
Mm-hmm.
Let's figure it out, do whatever it takes. And that's where we are. And so I really appreciate all those who spoke. I'm sorry I didn't get to hear all of you, but I've heard from most of you directly, so I'm pretty sure I know what you've said. So thank you so much for coming today.
And I do think that it's good that you were able to come out and to speak to the issue. There's been a lot of misinformation out there, and we did want the opportunity for you to come in, to hear from county administration, to hear from us. We do want to make this happen. We do support the voters' right to vote who they want in office. We do think that protecting that vote is the most important thing we can do. That is how we work in government. That is what's important. And we do support getting what we can do to get Cheryl bonded. And I'm happy you're here, Cheryl. And I keep looking over to see if I can smile to you. It's been a while since we've seen you, since I've seen you, and I appreciate you being here. It's important for you to hear us as a team here, as you're a team out there. We do want to make this happen in the best way we can, and so we do appreciate your comments. We know that the information hasn't all been as accurate out in the public as it could be, as it often is on Facebook and other sources of information. So thank you for being here, and thank you for speaking up. It's important.
I would like to, at the, I don't know, maybe at a little bit of a risk, I would like to address one other thing that came up that Mr. Potts brought up that's probably important, which is the upsetting of the apple cart. It's probably good for me to address it since Cheryl was a part of the team that was put together by a group of folks that I was pretty much diametrically opposed to. Everybody in the room, everybody probably in the county realizes that the former sheriff and myself were not exactly good friends. That's no secret to anybody, right? And oh, by the way, Mr. Leonard, who Cheryl beat, and I are good friends. You know, he used to work for me in the clerk's office. And so everybody would think, certainly I would be the perfect person to address the upsetting of the apple cart. Would that not be? Well, so Cheryl beat Ed and on election night back in the primary, and that was upsetting. There's no question. It was definitely upsetting. But you know what? To her credit, Cheryl, right after that, reached out to me at a campaign event in the general election. I was a little shocked by that. I really was. But it really mattered to me. She introduced her children and grandchildren to me at that event, and it really had an impact on me. And it started what I think became a pretty good relationship. After the general election, I reached out to Cheryl. We went to lunch. We've gone to lunch a couple of times since. We've formed a pretty good relationship, pretty good working relationship. I've introduced her to county administration, where we've we've made some suggestions. Talked to her about how I think she could best approach her term of office, and in a way that, in my mind, not only would help her succeed in her first term of office, but would then put her in best position to be able to appear before the Franklin County Democratic Party going into what would be her re-election year, in the hopes of receiving the endorsement of the Franklin County Democratic Party, something she did not have in winning this election this time.
Hey, John, can I slide in there and just add that Ed Leonard also called
That's
nearly
exactly
every
right.
elected official and endorsed her and
That's
was
exactly
pushing
right.
internally in the party that everybody get around her and support her.
Right.
And
That's
Ed Leonard made
exactly
those
right.
calls personally.
Yeah.
That's exactly right. Ed has definitely stepped up within the party. So while there's absolutely no question, Cheryl upset the apple cart, and the apple cart was upset, and I was upset. No question about it. Cheryl herself has done an amazing job of making that transition within the party. As the chairman said in the article the other day, she has attended party events. She's come and made herself a part of the Franklin County Democratic Party. And so while she upset the apple cart, I don't think the apple cart is still upset. And I would say to her, she still has work to do. She still has a 4-year term of office to continue to build those relationships. She still has a 4-year term of office to do the job that she was elected to do. But that part of it, that part of the conversation, that she upset the apple cart, she won a race that she wasn't supposed to win, and so we're all doing this, like we're trying to not get her bonded. Not that I think that maybe you or anybody in the room believes that, but that's being said out there. That's the part that I think bothers me the most, because we're trying to get Cheryl bonded. We're trying to do what we can. We're trying to help Cheryl be successful. We're all rooting for her, and I think Commissioner Brown will tell you that's kind of part of what we do as county commissioners. This whole rehabilitation piece of who we are and what we do. This is the greatest example and greatest part of that story of what we do as county commissioners. So that piece of it, the upsetting of the apple cart, I just wanted to address that piece of it this morning. So that all being said, I got to be honest with you, Mr. Thomas. I don't know what Friday's going to bring. I really don't. We're working. What's that? No, I was talking to Mr. Thomas, because he was the one that was,
Yeah.
he was the one that was talking about the
Yeah,
Friday
we
deadline,
don't know.
the Friday deadline, and I get it. There is a Friday deadline. We're working. We're doing it. But I'll be honest with you. We get there's a Friday deadline. We understand there's a Friday deadline. We're pushing, we're trying, we're doing everything we can to get a bond. But I don't know I don't know where we're gonna be come Friday. I don't know. I can't guarantee anything. Yes. If you could come to the microphone, it would help. If you could come to the microphone, it would help.
I'm not trying to rebuttal anything here. What I'm saying to everybody in this room, okay, this is a holiday weekend.
Mm-hmm.
And Mr. Potts just said, well, we can do it on Saturday. No, this is a holiday weekend. And this is a people battle. So when you're dealing with a people battle, you have to think the way people think. So you say you don't know what Friday's going to bring. That's why I'm telling you, noon on Wednesday, this should be taken care of. Okay, a bonding company is bonding an individual. Have you heard the things that we've said about the individual in this room? We have all spoken highly of this individual. If you want to be a bonding company and deal with the county, then the three of you should check the bonding company. Okay? If you can bond 3 people, and he just told us two people were bonded and the prior pressure was bonded under this bond. Okay? We, the people, voted. And now we're speaking in reference to Ms. Brooks highly. I said the past is the past. The bonding company needs to get over it. We need to take care of that. We don't have to worry about Friday if we take care of it right now. And that's all I'm asking you to do. And I'm doing that in the most passionate, respectful manner I can, because I'm going to tell you something. I'm normally not respectful. I'm going to tell you that.
Thomas, I'm going to let the experts explain how bonding companies work.
I know how they work. And I also know they need customers to stay in business. Okay, so they're not unapproachable neither. And so all I'm saying to you is take care of it. But come Friday, we're all rejoicing. Come Monday, we're swearing in. And with God, all things are possible. And I also believe that I used to say determined men, but I have to be diversified now. Determined people can solve anything. And this country continue to prove that. We came through New Orleans, and now we're going through Texas. And when it's all said and done, Texas is going to be okay. That's not my issue. My issue is at home. This, to me, is not as big as Texas, but I got the same passion. And I want you to have the same passion. I want you to go home Thursday night and get a good night's sleep, because on Wednesday, we got this resolved. Determined people can resolve anything. Thank you. And like I said, it's not a rebuttal. Okay? And I appreciate everything you guys have said up there. And I can see your passion in your face. Okay? But we shouldn't have to go through this. The people shouldn't have to go through this. You shouldn't have to go through this. Ms. Brooks has been an extraordinary example in this community. And she shouldn't have to go through that. So I wish the bonding company was here, because I could make them feel my passion too. But I thank you. I thank you for letting me talk again, but fill me, please. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. For the record, if it's for the record, we need you at the microphone.
I know everyone's talking about a deadline, but we all know that sometimes we don't meet our deadlines. So if we don't meet the deadline, what happens next? Like, well, because I did read that if we don't get a insurance bond for Cheryl, then it's going to be vacate her position, and someone else is going to be thrown in for 4 years or something like that. So how does that work? Is she still going to have her position while you guys look for the insurance bond? How does that work?
Ohio Revised Code, do we have a copy of that? Anybody have it?
I think what the
Quickly.
code says is that if it doesn't meet it by the 4th, then we would have to appoint an interim treasurer, which would
And then,
likely be Mr. Hagan, who's the current treasurer.
and then do an election the next year.
So we don't meet the deadline, then pretty much she has no position.
Is vacated, an appointment is made, and then I believe there's an election.
Commissioners, Kenneth Wilson, County Administrator. Pursuant to Ohio Revised Code 321.02, it states that if a treasurer fails or refuses to give such the sureties, the office would become vacant. And then the Board of Commissioners is charged with making an appointment, and then that appointment is in place until the Democratic Party Central Committee would appoint someone to fill the position.
And then do they run in the next election?
It'd be a special election.
Yeah, it'd be a,
So
does Cheryl get to run again, or?
we really don't want to have to go there. I mean, nobody does. Nobody does.
Yeah, but if we only have a couple days, if we only have a few days, then
We all know.
thank you for allowing me to ask that question.
Excuse me, I just have this one more comment. As it relates, Norman Whiteside, as it relates to Ohio Revised Code 321.02, promulgated June the 28th, 1984, just around the period that Bobby Hall took the office. One of the things that did not happen, first of all, the language specific as pursuant to Revised Code 1.43, which deals with gender. The code, the language of that, says his. So it almost appears as that there was never a her intended in that code. It specifically says his. The other thing, and I will be brief, is that it does not outline the policy and procedure that the board should take in any circumstances. And as we go on a Franklin County website, there is no history of any Franklin County treasurer. The only thing that you will go, if you Google, if you Siri, if you Cortana, all you will get is the present site of, and therefore, because we the public we want to be able to see the process. With everything else, there is a policy and procedure. An archaic law that goes back to June 28, 1984, there wasn't even credit scores considered in 1984. Those things didn't happen in 1984. So, fast forward. Not only do we need to revise it to be gender specific, consistent with Ohio Revised Code 1.31, which now speaks to gender, and in that regard, what we really need is policy and procedure in place that lets us know that when we, the public, want to know what you all are doing, that I can look at it and say, oh, Mr. O'Grady is going to do this. Again, mimicking the words of Mr. Thomas, we appreciate that you gave us this opportunity off the agenda. So that's another proof that with God all things are possible.
Well, thank you, everybody. Appreciate you all coming today. Oh, Cheryl, would you like to speak? Would you like to make some comments today?
Once we complete the process, I do want to thank everybody for the comments, both from the community and from the commission. We appreciate it. I have a matter before you that I need to see how that goes.
Okay. All right. Well, then, thank you, everybody, for being here today. Thanks for your comments. And
Executive session.
Yes.
we need to vote to go into executive session.
Resolution number 607-17, resolution of the Franklin County Board of Commissioners to convene into executive session for the purpose of discussing matters required to be kept confidential by federal law or regulations or state statutes.
I will move to convene into that executive session for the purpose to discuss matters required to be kept confidential by federal law or regulations or state statutes.
Second.
Moved and second in voting. Commissioner Brown?
Yes.
Commissioner Boyce?
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady?
Yes.
We are now in executive session.
So are we doing anything for, do we have the ability to do anything for Texas? Are we sending any people there?